Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to answer a very critical and controversial question. Why do some executives stay sharp, resilient, and high performing well into their 60s while others burn out at 45 or even less? In the following minutes, we're going to deep dive and I'll break down what peer reviewed research from Harvard, Stanford, and journals like Nature Aging and Nature Medicine is revealing about biology of aging and what it means for anyone serious about protecting their cognitive performance and long-term health. We'll cover three research pillars: mitochondrial health, chronic low-grade inflammation, or as a newly introduced term, inflammaging in the scientific world, and multi-omic biomarker precision, and how these translate into a practical data-driven approach through Revvy Health. Why do some leaders stay sharp, resilient, and clear-headed well into their 60s while others are returning on fumes by 45? For a long time, the answer was chalked up to genetics, or luck, or just how some people are built. But that's not what the research says anymore. Over the last few years, institutions like Harvard, Stanford, and journals like Nature have been mapping the actual biological mechanisms behind aging, not in vague wellness industry terms, but at the level of cells, proteins, and measurable markers in your blood. In the next few minutes, I want to walk you through three of the biggest findings and what they mean if you are someone who depends on your brain and your energy to lead. We'll start by the risk nobody puts on the balance sheet. The uncomfortable truth: the most unpredictable liability in any organization isn't market risk or supply chain risk or regulatory risk. It is the health of the people making the decisions. Cognitive fatigue, burnout, the slow decline that shows up as brain fog by 3 p.m. and gets written off as just getting older. Researchers now describe aging not as a single unstoppable clock, but as a set of biological processes that can be measured and in many cases influenced. That reframing matters because it moves the conversation from hope for the best to manage it like any other risk. That's the foundation of everything I'm going to walk you through today. Pillar 1: Mitochondrial Health. Let us start with mitochondria, the structure inside your cells that produce the energy your body runs on. Research out of Harvard Graduate School of Science from the SOCAS lab has been mapping exactly how mitochondrial stress responses connect to lifespan. Their work shows that mild, controlled disturbances in mitochondrial function can actually trigger the body's own defense systems, systems that over time support healthier aging. The researchers identified specific genes required to activate these defenses, opening the door to therapies that intentionally engage these pathways. Separately, a 2025 study published in the journal Aging Cell looked at protein called COX-7RP, which helps mitochondria assemble into more efficient energy-producing structures. In animal models engineered to express more of this protein, researchers observed measurable improvements in lifespan and metabolic health. The lead researchers described this as opening a path toward interventions that specifically target mitochondrial efficiency, not just symptoms of fatigue, but the underlying energy system itself. The takeaway: the 3 p.m. wall so many executives experience isn't a willpower problem. It is frequently a mitochondrial efficiency problem, and it's measurable. Pillar 2: Inflammaging. The second pillar is something researchers call inflammaging, a term first introduced in 2021, in 2001, I suppose, to describe the chronic low-grade inflammation that builds up quietly with age, long before any diagnosis shows up. Stanford's Cardiovascular Institute published research in the journal Nature Aging identifying a specific protein called CXCL9 that serves as a marker of this kind of chronic inflammation, and it turned out to predict cardiovascular aging that independent of a person's actual age in years. In other words, two people who are both 50 can have very different biological trajectories, and this marker helps explain why. A more recent 2025 paper in Nature Aging, along with a companion analysis in Nature Reviews Endocrinology, makes this case that inflammaging isn't uniform. It's shaped by each person's individual combination of genetics, lifestyle, and environmental exposure, which means generic advice, eat better, sleep more, misses the point. The researchers argue for precision interventions built on an individual's actual inflammatory profile, rather than one-size-fits-all recommendations. This is the biological process quietly driving a huge share of what we call burnout. It doesn't announce itself with a diagnosis. It shows up as fatigue, slower recovery, and a creeping sense that you are just not as sharp as you used to be. Pillar 3. Multi-omic biomarker precision. The third pillar ties the first two together. Precision measurement. A landmark study published in Nature Medicine followed a cohort of healthy individuals over time, tracking hundreds of biological markers simultaneously: genomic, metabolic, microbiome, and immune data. What the researchers found was striking. People don't age the same way. The study identified distinct patterns. They called them ageotypes, where some individuals showed aging concentrated in their metabolic markers, others in their immune markers, others in liver function, and so on. This is scientific basis for a simple but important idea. You cannot manage what you don't measure, and generic wellness protocols are by definition guessing, multi-omic profiling, looking at many biological systems together rather than one marker in isolation. This is what allows an intervention to be built around your actual biology, not an average. How this comes together? So, here is how these three pillars, mitochondrial health, inflammaging, and multi-omic precision, translate into something practical. At Revvy Health, this research isn't theoretical. It is framework behind every protocol we build. We look at your mitochondrial markers, your inflammatory profile, and broad panel of biological data. And instead of handling a genetic wellness plan, we build a protocol around what your own biology is actually telling us. This is the same logic institutional investors apply to any other high-value asset. Measuring first, then act, not the other way around. How to get started? If you have made this so far, you are probably someone who already thinks this way about other parts of your life. Your business, your investments, your team. The question is whether you're applying the same rigor to the one asset everything else depends on, your own biology. You don't need to commit to a long-term program to find out where you stand. We offer a trial audit, a real biomarker snapshot, not a questionnaire, so you get one clear data-backed answer before you decide anything else. The link is in the description below, and a limited number of audit slots are available this month. The research is clear. Aging is not one clock ticking. at the same speed for everyone. It is a set of measurable and in many cases influenceable biological processes. The only question left is whether you're going to wait for a symptom to tell you something's wrong or get the data now while you still have the most room to act on it. Thank you so much for watching, and links are below.